Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Start off with some quick sports. Last night in Monday Night Football, the Dolphins beat the Rams 23-15. Now, morning, Morgan.
Good morning. Good morning, NV, Charlamagne, Jess.
Hey, girl.
Peace, Morgan.
Good. Okay. All right. So before we get into the political spectrum of the transition, let's talk about yesterday. President Biden marked his final Veterans Day as Commander-in-Chief at Arlington National Cemetery yesterday morning. He says the country has a sacred obligation to those who have served and their families. He also bragged about what his administration has done for veterans, and he also spoke about his late son, Bo. Let's hear more from President Biden at Arlington National Cemetery yesterday.
Prepare those we send into harm's way and to care for them and their families when they return home and when they don't. Together we passed more than 30 bipartisan laws to support our veterans and their families, caregivers and survivors. We brought veterans' homelessness down to a record low. Our son Bo Biden deployed to Iraq for a year with the Delaware National Guard. I still remember the day he asked me to pin his bars on him. He stood ramrod straight. How proud Jill and I, and our entire family felt.
Yeah, so speaking of Veterans Day, sports analyst Michael Strahan, he didn't put his hand over his heart during the national anthem at Sunday's NFL on Fox broadcast, and that didn't sit well with a lot of people online. He faced some backlash and some criticism in regards to that. He kept his hands in front of him, just, holding one hand in the other, while everyone else next to him put their hand over their heart. Now, many thought it was disrespectful, particularly for a Veterans Day program. Strahan, a former professional football player, grew up in a military family, and he posted a tribute to the veterans and his family on social media on Monday, calling their selfless service beyond measure. What do you guys think about that? Should, when the national anthem plays, because here we go again, and we've seen it many a times in NFL when Kaepernick took a knee. When the national anthem plays, is there certain things that you're supposed to do? Take your hat off, put your arm over your heart, anything like that?
I mean, they say that, but in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I don't really feel like it's a big deal. I really don't.
Yeah, you can honor the
I think
troops
as
how
long
you
as
want to honor the troops.
Yeah.
I mean, most people take their hats off, but you can honor the troops the way you want to. You say you grew up in a military family, posted. I mean, I'm sure he has his reasons.
So it's not a big deal. Okay, cool.
Is there a fine? There's a fine or something? Oh, okay.
No, he's just facing a little backlash about it. And
Did anybody ask him why?
That's the thing. He has his reasons, I'm sure.
Everybody jumped to these conclusions, but did anybody ask him why? He might not even have been thinking about it. It might not even been intentional. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. Did anybody even bother to ask him why?
I think as long as he was standing up, it shouldn't have been a problem. He stood up. There was no hat on his head, like you said, Envy. So there's that. But keeping on track with on topic with Veterans Day, even though it was yesterday, history was made. Abolitionist Harriet Tubman can now be called general. In my great state of Maryland, Governor Wes Moore announced that. Yes, a Veterans Day ceremony that Tubman has been posthumously commissioned as a one-star brigadier general in the Maryland National Guard. Now, he also spoke to reporters after the ceremony where he called Tubman one of the greatest patriots he's ever seen. Let's hear more from Wes Moore on Harriet Tubman.
We honor that legacy with an honor that puts on paper what we've always known in our hearts, that our leader in acts deserved a star on her shoulder the whole time. This is a person who is one of the greatest Marylanders we've ever known, and someone who was willing to risk her own freedom, her own safety, her own life in order to help others. I mean, that is patriotism. That's heroism. And so it's only appropriate that we now have a General Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, if Harriet Tubman ain't no general, I don't know who is.
Gangster for real. So during the last General Assembly session, Maryland state lawmakers passed legislation allowing the governor to award the commission, appoint, or promotion to an awardee after their death. Now, Tubman is, of course, known as the conductor of the Underground Railroad, which helped lead slaves. I believe she led more than 750 slaves to freedom by herself. And more, through the Underground Railroad. She also served as a Union Army, served in the Union Army during the Civil War, and as a spy, scout, nurse, and cook. So yeah, she is multifaceted. Governor Moore, Major General Janine Burkhead, and Tubman's descendants participated in a ceremony that honored Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad State Park and Visitor Center in Church Creek, Maryland, yesterday morning. So history was made yesterday on Veterans Day for that of the late, great Harriet Tubman.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Morgan.
No, you're welcome. And we'll get into all the nitty gritty of what's happening into the transition of Donald Trump into his second term as president at 7 a.m. It's sticky, y'all. It's sticky. So stick around for more front page news.
We do have 60 seconds, so I do have one question. I've seen everybody online talking about Biden stepping down and allowing Kamala Harris to be president for the 60 days, the last 60 days. Have y'all heard that? Have y'all seen that?
I think that's foolishness.
I have heard about it. I have not heard anything that is actually substantial regarding
what's
that.
What's the point? What would be the point of that?
To actually allow Kamala to have that historic moment.
I think that's complete foolishness.
Do you really?
Yes. You know what I would rather see? I'd rather see Sotomayor retire, and then they potentially put Kamala Harris on the Supreme Court. Bakari Sellers proposed that idea. I think that is a more substantial, solid thing to do than step down and let her symbolically be the president for 60 days.
I disagree. I think she should definitely.
Man, y'all like symbols. Y'all like symbolism. That's the problem.
Yeah,
like,
oh, it's not symbolism.
I like substance.
Y'all really don't want to hear what I got to say about how the presidency and the election really panned out. Y'all ain't really gonna hear what I got to say.
I just don't see what's the point. What's the point of him stepping down and then making her the president for 60 days or 70 days? What's the point of that?
Just asking.
It is the symbolism behind it. You're absolutely right. It's the symbolism of sexism, is what it is. We could put racism to the side for just a little bit, but
the symbolism of sexism.
Straight. Yes, it's
why would we want a symbolism of
ceiling.
sexism?
No, it's breaking the glass ceiling of sexism. Like the bottom line is, we haven't. Okay, we said we only had.
Yeah, I would rather see Sotomayor retire and then make the VP put her on the Supreme Court. Bakari Sellers floated that idea.
Ceiling.
I like that.
Break the ceiling, Biden.
All right, gals. All right, gals.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Now with Monday Night Football, the Dolphins beat the Rams 23-15. I don't think anybody cares about those teams because the Dolphins are 3-6.
First of all, don't do that because my man's team is the Rams.
But the Rams are 4-5. They're not going anywhere.
I know, don't.
They have the same dreams as the Cowboys and the Giants right now. They're not going nowhere. And how is this team the Rams?
I don't know why Chris liked the Rams, but he loves them, and he's very sad right now about their records. So.
Did he grow up in St. Louis?
No, he did not. He just likes the Rams. I have no idea, but that's his team.
He probably used to like them when they was the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. Marshall Faulk. Remember everybody used to wear the jerseys back in the day? Yeah. And then they went to L.A.
Now they Los Angeles
Rams. He probably
Rams.
grew up a St. Louis fan.
Okay.
Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning. Well, it's good to see Tua looking good out there. You know, he's fairly healthy anyway, so I won't much into that. But yes, good morning, y'all. So let's get into it. President-elect Trump he's making his announcements regarding appointments in his administration. Former ICE Director Tom Homan is being promoted to border czar when President Trump takes office. President-elect Trump, Now, Trump announced the move on Truth Social, saying that Homan will be in charge of the nation's borders in his administration. Earlier this year, Homan promised to run the biggest deportation force this country has ever seen if Trump got elected, which in fact happened last week. Yesterday, Homan spoke to Hannity on Fox News, and he said he's getting to work. And if you're in a sanctuary city, to get out of his way, get used to it because he's coming. Let's hear more from Tom Homan, the new border czar.
I saw today numerous governors from sanctuary states saying they're going to step in the way. They better get the hell out of the way. Either you help us or get the hell out of the way because ICE is going to do their job. We're going to take the handcuffs off ICE that the Biden administration put on them and let ICE what they do best. And let me say this. Back to the viewer, Joe Biden. This administration promised they're going to concentrate on the criminal aliens. That was a priority. Secretary Mayorkas said it. I looked at the stats today. The removal of criminal aliens is down 74% from President Trump. We have more criminals here than we ever had. So we got plenty of targets out there, and the men and women of this new administration are going to go look for them. They're going to look for them in sanctuary cities. If sanctuary cities don't want to help, get out of the way. I'll double the workforce in that sanctuary city. We're going to do our job. Despite the politics, we're doing it. So get used to it because we're coming.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. That dude don't play. I saw him on 60 Minutes, maybe like last month, and he said, in regards to kids being separated from their families, he said families can be deported together.
Damn.
That's what he said on 60 Minutes. That dude don't play. No, he does not play whatsoever.
So, yes, the border was one of the top issues Trump addressed while campaigning. Polls also found immigration to be one of the voters' biggest concerns in this election. So, yeah, there's your new borders are USA. President-elect Trump is reportedly also expected to name Florida's Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. The New York Times cites 3 sources familiar with Trump's thinking who say the president-elect could still change his mind. However, Rubio was elected to the Senate in 2010 and has taken hawkish stances with on both China and Iran. He recently said Russia's war against Ukraine is a stalemate and needs to be brought to a conclusion. Now, Rubio again ran against Trump in 2016 in the presidential primaries, but he is making his stake and his claim in the Trump administration. Also, Florida Representative Michael Waltz has been named as National Security Advisor. Waltz, a former Green Beret, has served in Congress since 2019. He has also previously been named to the House Armed Services, Intelligence, and Foreign Affairs Committees. Senate confirmation is not required for that role. However, Stephen Miller has been announced as White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. That's according to multiple reports. Miller is his top immigration advisor and served as a senior advisor during Trump's first presidency. He was also the one who spoke at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally, saying America is for Americans only. Let's hear from Stephen Miller and that MSG rally.
When his life was on the line, did he falter? Did he waver? Did he yield? Did he surrender? Did he hesitate? Did he back down? Did he give one single solitary inch? Or did he stand up, strong and proud and resilient, the warrior that he is, and raise his fist into the air and shout on behalf of all of you, fight, fight, fight. And what was he fighting for? He was fighting for your children, for your wives, your husbands, everyone that you love and know in the world. The right to live in a country where criminal gangs cannot just cross our border and rape and murder with impunity. Who's going to stand up for our daughters? Who's going to stand up for the girls of America, the women of America, the families of America? Who's going to stand up and say the cartels are gone, the criminal migrants are gone, the gangs are gone, America is for Americans and Americans only?
Listen, man, when the mass deportation start, no need for anybody to act surprised because they told you what they was going to do. So you're getting exactly what you voted for.
Yep, absolutely. So there's more appointments to be made, but let's bringing things home quickly to New York. Mayor Eric Adams wants his corruption trial to begin earlier than scheduled so that he can focus on getting reelected. The trial has been set to start on April 21st, 2025. And in a letter to a federal judge presiding over the case, Adams' lawyers asked for a new start date of April 1st, writing that it could uphold his right to a speedy trial and would allow him to participate in his reelection campaign. Now, the lawyers added that with the April 21st start date, the trial would not be over until a month before voting begins in the Democratic primary, and that the earlier date would rid voters of the distraction of the misguided indictment as they evaluate Democratic candidates for mayor. So that's what's going on with Mayor Eric Adams as he's making his way to re-election, or he's attempting to make his way towards re-election. Yep. All right, y'all. So that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow on social at Morgan Media. And for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit BINnews.com.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.